So on my channel, I've made some reactions to the Australian military, looking at some of the conflicts I've been involved in, like Vietnam, Afghanistan. I've also looked at the Australian Special Forces. Very interesting videos. Being British, I really appreciate our relationship with Australia and the Australian military, been amazing allies. And I want to learn more about the Australian military, and something that is related to the Australian military is Anzac Day. Now, I've heard of Anzac Day. I believe it's something similar to what we have in the UK, which is like Remembrance Day, which we have in November the 11th. I believe Anzac Day is something like in April. I don't know too much about the day, its origins, so I want to learn about that today. Tell me how you celebrate it, commemorate it, what you do on Anzac Day, how important is it to you and just to Australia in general. Let's watch and let's learn.
Every year in Australia, we commemorate a very important day in Australian history known as Anzac Day. At this time of the year, you might sometimes bake Anzac biscuits or stand in silence to reflect and remember Anzac soldiers.
Yeah, so is that where Anzac cookies actually come from? Do you always have them on that day? And yeah, I guess it is similar to what we have in the UK. Just looking at the image here with the poppies. Does everybody wear a poppy in Australia leading up to Anzac Day? And yeah, just that moment of silence, that's very well respected in the UK as well. Is that the same in Australia? Do you like have that moment of silence like in your workplace, educational place as well, that sort of thing?
But do you know who the Anzacs were and why it is important that we commemorate this day? In 1914, the world was in turmoil at the outbreak of World War I. Though Australia and New Zealand were considered young nations, both of these countries came together to help their British allies in the war. These soldiers were called Anzacs, which stands for Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. On the 25th of April 1915, the Anzacs travelled to a place called the Gallipoli Peninsula to capture the Turkish capital of Istanbul, known then as Constantinople. However, they were met by a fierce defence from Ottoman Turkish soldiers. What they had hoped to be a quick campaign turned out to be 8 months of brutal warfare. 8 months after their arrival, the Anzacs evacuated from Gallipoli, but not before many soldiers had given their life or suffered great injuries. In fact, over 10,000 Anzacs died at the fierce hand of the war at Gallipoli.
Is that incident in Gallipoli, is that something that people learn about in school? Is that something everybody knows on Anzac Day? Do you have like educational shows that people can watch and learn about the origins of this?
Upon their return, Australia has commemorated Anzac Day since the 25th of April 1916, 1 year after the Anzacs first arrived at Gallipoli. There are many symbols and emblems that you might recognise on Anzac Day. Let's have a look at a few of them. Yum, an Anzac biscuit. It can be fun to help bake these and even more fun to eat around Anzac Day. But it's a bit funny to remember Anzac Day by eating a biscuit, isn't it? Where did they come from?
That's fine.
The Anzac biscuit we have today is similar to a type of food many of the Anzac soldiers carried with them. Because they didn't have fridges or shops to get food from, the soldiers needed to eat food that would not go bad over time. Many carried the first Anzac biscuits, which were a substitute for bread. Though they can be a tasty treat, they also help us remember some of the struggles Anzac soldiers went through.
Oh, I never knew that. That's very interesting.
Another symbol you might recognise are flowers, such as red poppies or rosemary flowers. Red poppies were famously found growing in some of the most brutal locations of World War I, such as northern France and Belgium, after the war had ended. Rosemary flowers symbolize memory and were found scattered throughout the peninsula at Gallipoli. Because these flowers are very symbolic, they are used as a way for us to remember those fallen by war. They can often be seen being laid down in remembrance of fallen soldiers during days such as Anzac Day.
That's interesting because, yeah, the rosemary is obviously very specific to that conflict which involved the Anzacs, which I don't see anybody use or with the rosemary in the British commemorations. It's mostly just the poppy. And yeah, just while I was thinking about it, with regards to like Anzac Day, does it still have a strong support? Do the younger generation still have that respect for that day? Do they still celebrate it or commemorate it? Or do you see like any sort of disillusionment with it for the younger generation?
The original Anzac Day was significant because not only was it a day to remember and pay respects to the families and friends of those that had died in war, it also played a major part in forming an Australian identity of courage and mateship that is still important today. Whilst the Anzac legend lives on, soldiers from Australia have defended our country in other wars since World War I. This means that when we commemorate Anzac Day, we remember those that have given their lives in service of our country on other occasions as well. There are many ways Anzac Day is commemorated today. Often people will rise for a dawn service. These services are held at dawn each year because this was the same time Anzac soldiers originally arrived on Gallipoli shores. What are some of the other ways we remember those in our past and present who have committed themselves to the service of our country on Anzac Day?
Yeah, that was really cool. That dawn ceremony is interesting because it has that very specific link to that time as well, that conflict. So I like how it really pays such strong respect to that exact conflict in Gallipoli. And yeah, I'm just a supporter of things like this, the Remembrance Day and stuff. But I have family who are in the British military, so it's very important to me. And it's like, yeah, again, celebrating and commemorating those people who have lost their life, given their life for their country, and the people who are currently in the military and so on. I have a great respect for them. So something like Anzac Day, I love it. I just think it's an amazing thing, and to see it so well respected in Australia, seeing the marching through the city with the people and so on, having like the Anzac Day again, like the thing like the Anzac Day, the dawn ceremony, having that real direct link to the origins of this day. It's really cool and great for me to learn about it as well. So tell me if you knew these things. Tell me how you commemorate Anzac Day, what you do on that day as well. And yeah, keep recommending more videos about the Australian military. Thanks.